want to get to your Lavada handbags. So Lavada, and I'm pronouncing it correctly, right?
You are.
Okay, Lavada specializes, and I'm looking at your site, which I'll share. I want people to see your bags. It specializes in high-end, interchangeable, and I want you to explain this, cactus vegan leather bags, not PU or pleather.
Yep.
So what's PU?
PU is polyurethane. It's
Okay,
basically plastic.
polyurethane or
Mm-hmm.
pleather. So
Yeah.
you're PETA approved and
Yes.
you're EOK Tech certified. You'll give me all that. So you give me all of that. So your solution is patented. And I
Yes.
like this. The
Yeah.
only 4-in-1 option that exists on the market. And your aim is to help you get the most useful life, us, the customer, out
Yep.
of the items in our closet. Therefore, helping us meet and you meet your own sustainability goals in a stylish and multifunctional way. So let's get to the EOK Tech certified. Tell me what that means. Is that environmentally something?
Yes. So EOCOTEX basically is a industry standard to ensure that manufacturers and brands are producing their goods in a way that is ultimately not harmful. So it's checked against toxic chemicals that could be in dyes, for example, because that is a pollutant that is notorious in the fashion industry. A lot of the tanning that happens with traditional leather, the tanneries, a lot of the inks and dyes that are used in everyday clothing items and things of that nature end up in the wastewater, which in a lot of communities, including globally, has a tremendous and dire impact on local wildlife, on communities, on the quality of drinking water. It is a hazard, basically. And so you get these toxic and biohazardous chemical runoff just from the supplies that are used to make the garments that we wear, to make the bags that we use. And so EOCOTEX certification means you've met the standards that clear the hurdle for saying this is free from all of these. There's a litany, there's an entire like checklist that's a scroll's length long of things that it's free from in order to claim that you've met that certification.
Okay. Well, I'm telling you, I mean, we're learning something every day, I
And
think,
these are things
about
that
what.
brands are slowly starting to adapt to, and they're becoming more responsible. But it is a long haul, and it is a complicated effort because there are so many middlemen and so many suppliers and so many manufacturers that work with other manufacturers and smaller manufacturers beneath them that make up this really wild labyrinth. It's really a spider web, right? Of all of these people who are ultimately connected with the name that we think we're buying from,
Right.
that are actually attached to China, they're attached to Turkey, they're attached to like all of these other places where things are maybe not as strict in terms of oversight when it comes to certain practices. Yeah.
Okay. Well, before I show your site, I do want to thank our sponsor, Ivy Hill Technologies. You can find out more about Ivy Hill Technologies at ivyhilltech.com. Ivy Hill Technologies is an enterprise information management service provider. They offer cost-effective solutions and quality staffing to commercial businesses and federal, state, and local government agencies. Committed to excellence in an ever-changing business climate, Ivy Hill Technologies partners with its customers to meet their objectives while exceeding their expectations. So please check out our lifelong sponsors for right now, ivyhilltech.com, because they've been with us since COVID, and we're so very appreciative of you, Ivy Hill, and you know who you are. So I do want to share my screen for me to get your Lavada handbag on here. Handbags.
Awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to present your screen, and there you are. So there's your site.
Yes.
Now, this is the home page for your site, and I'm going to go to the bags. So the signature handbags here. You mentioned
Yes.
the 4-in-1 interchangeable, and everything else. that I read, and the luxury vegan leather.
Yep.
So these are the bags. So tell me about this bag.
So every bag comes with a base bag. So the black bag that's underneath, and there's an overlay that comes with it. You get 2 belts and 2 carrying straps. So
Okay.
on its own, it's a monochromatic look. You get the black base bag, and then you can add the cover, you can change the belt, you can change the strap, which means you get multiple looks
Ah,
in one.
I see.
Change it up because you going on a different occasion, you rocking a certain color, then you can just, play with your bag, add a scarf detail, add the cover or take the cover off, however you feel like styling it.
Okay. And then you have silk scarves. I know about the scarves here. So here are your
Mm-hmm.
scarves.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is
So
that you
there's,
wearing that? Because you look nice.
oh, thank you. Yes, that is me. That's me wearing the big 35 by 35 square, and that's 100% silk, by the way.
Oh,
So
mhm.
if people are into that, there's some options there. But these are other ways that you can dress up your bags or your bag handles, or you can wear them around your neck. I know sometimes fashion is circular, so the styles that we saw back in the day end up coming back in current times.
Right.
You can put them around your hair if you're washing your face or going to the gym or whatever. It's a great thing to quickly wrap your hair up in so you can pull your hair back from your face. So it's multi-purpose use there. And
Excellent.
I'm working on some new prototypes. So I want to do like a hobo bag. This is a quick little
Oh, that's
example
nice.
of a style that I'm doing. I'm going to call this like the Christmas bag because I decided to line it in cranberry. So what I do in my creative process is I start with the prototype and I sort
Mhm.
of map out what do I want the silhouette to be, what's the size, what's the shape, what do I want to see for the lining, how do I want to handle the straps and all of those things. And then I can work with my manufacturers to further refine it.
Right.
And I can point out the different things that I want, or, I want a D bar, or I want a carabiner here, or I want this type of base bottom, or I want a contrasting color. So and I do this in my own little workshop, if I'm able to, put the concepts together. I haven't added the straps to this one yet.
Right.
But when I do those things, then I can say with that much more confidence why I want it a certain way because I've tested it out and I can see in full scale what it's going to look like, how it's going to hang, what the wear might be. I have to take that into account because look, I use bags all the time, every
Right.
single day, and I have to understand for the customer, like, what's the average use case? Will this be a bag that someone would use for work? Are they going to throw their tablet or their small laptop in it? How sturdy does the bottom need to be? Like all of those things come into account, and the best way to understand and solve for those problems is to really, workshop it and play with the materials, and really sort of hash it out. So my mama taught me some skills on the machine. I know how to sew and draft and do some pattern making stuff because she's an extraordinary seamstress. So yeah, I found a love for handbags, especially when I was traveling a lot for work and had to go from function to function, and sometimes day appointments to an evening dinner that might be at a fancy place. And I didn't always have everything that I needed with me, or I would forget things at home. And things like back in the day when you needed business cards instead of QR codes.
Right.
There were a few occasions where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I left my business cards at home. And here I am in Minnesota somewhere at a conference. And people are like, oh, you have business cards? Like, yeah, but not with me because I
Right.
forgot that in my other bag, right? And so the idea of the interchangeability was really birthed from necessity. And so I've just been having a ball, playing with different concepts. And again, really trying to give people more value for the things that we have to use every day with an eye towards eco-friendly materials as well as sustainability and versatility.
I'm going to, in closing this interview, I want to ask this. Okay. So if someone wants to get into designing anything, I think it's so very important again, like what you're doing, is that you get a prototype, whether you can do it yourself
Yep.
or you pay someone.
Yep.
That's the biggest challenge, because you order. I haven't ordered a lot from out of the USA. Let's
Hmm.
just say China. Let me say
Yep.
that.
Yep.
But when you get it, it doesn't. You have to get it. To me, you have to get the prototype the closest you can to it, so that you can define the materials. Not so much the materials, but I need this thickness. I need, because you're not into the particulars. Size is not enough. Then you get it,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
ordered something, wasn't a big order, but it was trash. It was a
Yep.
replica of
Yep.
something I saw online. So I
Yep.
should teacup and saucer set, but I ordered a small amount. Thank goodness. I got refunded for the packaging. I mean the product, but
Yeah.
the shipping is so high.
Yes. Exactly.
Naturally so, coming from outside of the
Exactly.
USA.
Exactly. And I will say this, there are a lot of brands out there that are high end and luxury, right? You can look at the craftsmanship of a product and tell if it's really well assembled and well crafted. So that's first and foremost. But then there's, brands that, because of the cachet that comes with their name, they're able to charge thousands of dollars, without exaggerating, thousands of dollars for their, luxury bags or clothing or whatever. Even if they may be using overseas factories to help put their stuff together, right? But there's always shipping costs that are involved and things like that. And so
Right.
unfortunately, a lot of that does end up getting passed on to the consumer. In my case, I've worked with local people, when I say local, next door in LA area, who helped with the first run that I did for manufacturing. And labor in the US is the most expensive part of anything, right? We're not a third world country
Right.
where wages are minuscule in comparison, right?
Right.
And so I think it's important for consumers to keep that in mind too when they're shopping. And this is perfect timing for the holidays, because people are buying gifts or they're buying something for themselves and all of that, right? When you're doing that and you look at a company that's based in the US or their products are made in the US and you look at the price point, just keep in mind that a large part of that is not just for the raw materials, but it's also for the labor that goes into making the product.
Right.
And in my case, everything's handcrafted. So there's some machine work, but there's also a lot of detailing that happens by hand, right? And so you're paying for the time that it takes. And that's what, call me old fashioned, but I cherish those things. Like, I like things that have been touched by a human and not just these massive, production machines, where someone's looking at the fittings and they're looking closely at the lines that they're getting. They're looking closely at how clean everything is, not just because something came off of a laser cutter. And so there's value to that, right? And that
Right.
is ultimately what consumers are paying for. If you like items that you're going to cherish for a long time, then you're paying for all of the love that went into crafting that item, not just for a label name.
Well, I thank you, because I'm proud of you. Number one, I'm gonna give you another pom pom. Proud of you, number one, because I know you came from here, and this will be our closing comment. I know you came from here. I mean, from the West Coast to the East Coast in DC. I know you had some fun while you were here, but
Yes.
if someone, I just want to ask this: if someone wanted to get into the industry, what would you recommend?
Educate, educate, educate yourself. You've got ideas and it's amazing. They will serve you. They're not going to go anywhere. What God has for you is for you. Let me just start by saying that. Do your homework. Understand what your options are and get educated on how the industry, whatever industry it happens to be, works. Get
Mhm.
familiar with terminology and the jargon that's used in your field, right? Know who the players are. And when I say who the players are, I mean the types of organizations or entities that you're going to come across. If you're in a field where you're trying to make a physical good, then you need to understand the lay of the land when it comes to who the manufacturers are, like what role they play versus what role a packaging company plays versus what role a retailer plays or a boutique. Like, just know all of the moving parts so that you're very familiar with who you need to ultimately connect with and what your options look like. There's always the DIY route, right? Which
Right.
you can do. And that's a whole different market. And if you're doing DIY, then there are different types of marketplaces that exist for you to sell your goods. And if you're not doing DIY, then that opens up maybe another venue. So understand what those worlds look like. If you're in
Right.
a service-based business, it's no different. Understand who are the players, how do you tap in? Are there communities? Are there Facebook groups? Are there meetups, right?
Mhm.
Like here in Las Vegas, we have the Las Vegas Fashion Council. In fact, there's a networking event taking place tomorrow night that I'll be going to. So I've met several of the other members. I joined that organization, and now I can have conversations and I can bounce things off of other people, and we can compare notes or just find ways to collaborate together. It's important to find your community. And I would say do that even before you launch. Know what you're getting yourself into. Do your homework, and that will equip you so that when it is time for you to get to the point of production, you'll know and have that much more of an arsenal, and you'll be able to discern when something's not on the up and up, right? Because in the world of manufacturing things, just as you've had that experience where you had to say, hey, this is not right, I
Right.
need a refund.
Right.
When you get to that stage, you'll know what to look for because you've done your homework, and you'll know when someone's just trying to pull the wool over your eyes and tell you, oh, no, this is normal. No, this is not.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
substandard, and we need to address this. So knowing like even what those steps are, if there's a problem, what is my recourse? Understand whether or not contracts need to be involved in the work that you do, right? And with the parties that you're going to align with, whether or not it makes sense to get an NDA. Because in some cases,
That's right. That non-disclosure agreement. I found out
right,
about that.
exactly. In some cases, people will say, oh, we don't sign NDAs because they just feel like we don't have time for it. In this world, people end up copying each other. So there's no protect. And I've had that happen. I'm like, okay, thanks. Next, let me talk to the next person in line and talk to someone who is willing to honor an NDA. And so know your rights. As hit me up if you just need a friend in business to talk to. You want a support system or someone that's a girl. I need someone to talk me off the ledge. Call me. We can chat. I'm happy to help in any way that I possibly can because I've lived through some things and I've got some experiences under my belt at this point.
Well, I thank you. I thank you, my sister friend. So, I always at the end of each interview, I give a toast to you. Well, you're already a girlfriend, but you're a girlfriend 2 times over. So I salute you by saying, girlfriend,
Oh, right back
girlfriend.
at you. Cheers.
You're a girlfriend. This was a superb interview. I'm happy to catch up with you. Like I said, it was long overdue. And I want to remind everyone how they can follow you.
Yep. Yep.
Lavadabags.com.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Anita, I thank you again for joining me. I will be in touch. As you know, we see each other on social media, and hang tight with me after we close out.
Absolutely will. Thank you
Thank you.
again.
Okay, thank you. You're very welcome.